Hello, my name is Kate Valentine, and today I'm going to talk about invasive bush honeysuckle in southern Illinois. Invasive bush honeysuckle is widespread throughout the Midwest, including southern Illinois. There are several different species of bush honeysuckle, and most of them originate from Asia. They came to North America because they were planted as ornamental bushes, and then they rapidly spread throughout natural lands. There have been many studies done on bush honeysuckle. A couple of the ones I found talked about birds and their interaction with bush honeysuckle. One study found that at least 5 species spread viable honeysuckle seeds, and that same study also found that the seeds spread by American robins are the ones that are most often viable, and the percentage of seeds that were spread by American robins that were viable were very similar to the percentage of seeds that were viable when picked straight off the plant. Another study found that the mobility of birds between forest patches affected honeysuckle's ability to spread. So when forests were heavily fragmented, it was harder for honeysuckle to spread to patches that didn't already have it. A different study that I read talked about how the presence of honeysuckle will lead to an increase in bird species that are frugivores, so like birds like northern cardinals or American robins that feed on honeysuckle seeds. That leads me to how I got around to my research question. So being from southern Illinois, I'm well aware of the prevalence of bush honeysuckle, and I'm also well aware that they have a lot of berries on them. And I've also noticed that birds eat the berries. So I was thinking about how, other plants use birds and other wildlife as a dispersal method, and I was wondering if honeysuckle used the same dispersal method. This leads to my research hypothesis, which is that honeysuckle reproduction benefits from seed dispersal by animals. So areas that are fenced off by animals will have less seedlings compared to the areas that are open to animals feeding off of them. So to do a study really related to this research hypothesis, I would have 20 sample plots over the course of a growing season. 10 plots would be fenced off, some of the honeysuckle may be netted off so that wildlife could not feed on the berries. And then you would have 10 control plots that are left alone that have honeysuckle on them. And then after a year goes by, in the next growing season, you would count the number of seedlings in the area. If my research hypothesis is correct, there would be less seedlings in the fenced-off plots compared to the open plots. Because if wildlife is a major spreader of honeysuckle seeds, the areas where wildlife could not feed off of the berries would have significantly less seedlings. This research hypothesis is operating under a couple assumptions, including that the seeds in the berries can survive a bird's digestive tract or the digestive tract of other wildlife. It also is operating under the assumption that the seeds are not majorly dispersed by other means. There are some alternative hypotheses to be considered if it turns out that wildlife is not a major disperser of honeysuckle seeds, and those include dispersal via other methods, such as wind, growing where they fall, and also being carried by wildlife. Not necessarily being consumed, but sticking to things as they move and then dropping off in other places. in conclusion, honeysuckle is widespread in southern Illinois now, and it's clear that birds, along with other wildlife, consume the seeds of honeysuckle. It's important to understand the dispersal methods of honeysuckle to be able to manage it and to control its spread into the future. Thank you.